The day of the car accident, I died on the operating table. Before I died, I heard my real parents saying, "Lily is our daughter. We have the right to decide about her organs. We only need one kidney. Take it out now. Monica's urgently needs surgery." Monica, she's the one who took over my life, pretending to be the real daughter. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my parents came to take me home. The 3-square-meter room filled with trash reeked horribly. I was tied to the bed, covered in red rashes, and so hungry I was seeing stars. The door was locked from the outside, and the broken window was sealed shut. Yet, I was humming a little tune, totally at ease, because I knew help was on the way. Right on cue, there was loud banging outside and familiar cries. "Lily, Mom and Dad are here. Hang on. Lily, say something." I dropped my act and burst into sobs. "Help!" Finally, the door opened, and my biological parents rushed in with tears in their eyes, holding me tight. "Lily, you suffered. Let's go home." "Sure, let's go home." Back to that home where in my past life, I died with so much regret. After being starved for 3 days by my foster mother, Mary, I was getting in the small town hospital. My real mom, Kate, held me and cried nonstop while my real dad, Jack, was busy making calls to search for my foster mother. Then the door opened, and in walked this girl in a pretty dress with fancy jewelry, running over to me excitedly, sweetly calling sister. I knew her, Monica, my parents' adopted daughter. She was raised as their own until she got diagnosed with a genetic kidney disease, and then they realized the hospital mixed up the babies. While looking for me, they continued to spoil Monica and justified it by saying, "You reap what you sow," hoping their real daughter would be treated well by others. I knew it was just to ease their guilt. Otherwise, how would I have ended up in that hellhole fighting for my life? And Monica got all the good stuff, the best education, pampered like a princess. "Lily, this is your sister Monica," my foster mom Mary said, pointing at Monica. I smiled at her. "Monica, such a nice dress. Can I touch it?" I reached out my grubby little hand, and Monica's eyes flashed with disgust, but she quickly hid it. "Of course, I have tons of pretty dresses. If you like, I will give them all to you." I wiped my hand on Monica's dress, thoroughly enjoying the little welcome present I gave her. "Things that aren't yours, no matter how pretty, get tainted." I sighed. "Thanks, Monica, but I'm sick. Wearing nice clothes is a waste." Mary also said I didn't deserve nice clothes. Upon hearing that, Kate cried even harder. "Mary, how can you be so cruel? In this heat, nothing to eat or drink, locking you in that room, giving you a full body rash. Doctor said there's a risk of infection. If anything happens, I'll surely take legal action against her." I lowered my head. "Seeing you is already great, Mom. I don't care about anything else. Can you and Dad stay with me a bit more?" My parents nodded, eyes filled with pity and affection. Inside, I was silently laughing. In my past life, when they first found me, they treated me like a gem too. But in Monica's endless schemes, weren't they the ones who eventually sent me, barely alive, onto that operating table? "Lily is our daughter. We have the right to decide about her organs. We only need one kidney. Take it out now. Monica's urgently needs surgery." Their voices still echo clearly in my mind. They wanted to take me home to heal properly. I got teary-eyed and let tears fall, but my foster mom won't let me leave. "If I even step out, she beats me." "You can't take me. I don't want to get hit again," I said, lifting my sleeve, showing the twisted, scary wounds and sores. My dad gasped, and my mom's face went pale, covering her mouth in shock. "No, child, you must come back with us. Trust us, we'll take you home. It's our fault. Switching the baby changed your life. We must make it right." I looked down, shaking my head. "But you have Monica. I don't want to take her love too. These 13 years, I've never had love. I'm just used to it." Mary immediately promised, "We are your real parents. Pampering you is our duty. Things you didn't have before, you won't miss them in the future. Will you come with Mom and Dad?" I held onto Mom and cried, "Am I finally a child with parents? Can I stop getting beaten?" Monica watched with dark eyes, pretending to smile generously when she caught my gaze. "Yes, I and Mom and Dad will treat you well too. Lily, welcome home." Such a considerate and understanding appearance. Who would guess this seemingly innocent and pure girl orchestrated my murder by a car in a past life? She took everything from me, and still, she wasn't satisfied until I vanished entirely. This time, I won't let her get what she wants. What's mine, I'll take back. What hurts me, I'll repay 100 times over. That night, my dad got a call and found Mary in a rundown motel. When she was brought in by bodyguards to face my intimidating dad, she was trembling all over. "Mary," he said, "pack up. We're taking Lily with us tomorrow. We're her real parents." Mary was stunned and then switched face. "I bought Lily for hundreds of dollars. You think you can just take her?" "That's right. I was kidnapped. In my past life, when my soul floated above, I learned everything. Monica's birth mother switched me for her in the hospital, so her kid could enjoy a lavish life. And she sold me for peanuts to the widow Mary. Mary was a horrible woman. She bought me to grow up to make money with my body. She kept me starved just enough, and beating me was a routine. Recently, she seemed to think raising a child was more costly, so she planned to starve me to death. I had no sympathy for Mary at all. Kate was furious. "How dare you, saying you bought my kid? Just wait. we will charge you with human trafficking and child abuse. Mary, clueless about her fate, replied, well, you owe me at least 200 grand. I raised your kid for free. Not a single cent. Prepare for prison. My dad ordered people to keep an eye on Mary to make sure she couldn't escape. At night, my mom held me tight, talking about all the years she missed me and how sorry she felt. Monica was tossing and turning on another small bed, like she hadn't slept a wink. We spent more than 10 days in the small town, but in the end, my parents won custody of me, and Mary was sent to jail. In front of a luxurious villa in downtown, a middle-aged woman named Susan, dressed like a nanny, stood at the door. She greeted us warmly with a bow. Sir, ma'am, Mrs., welcome back. My parents held my hand and Monica's, walking straight in. Has everything we asked for been prepared? My mom asked. Susan nodded. Yes, everything's ready. I glanced at Susan and sensed a sharp, bitter gaze. When I looked up, I caught Susan's dark, cunning eyes. She quickly flashed a smile. What's wrong, young lady? I smiled back. Nothing. Interesting. Everything seems just like it was in the previous life. Nothing has changed. Susan is still lurking around our home, watching her biological daughter, Monica, live a life of luxury while staying close enough to care for her every day. She was clever, swapping me with her daughter at the hospital and then landing a job in my parents' house as a nanny. Oh, what deep, fiery motherly love. And I, the real daughter, ended up a casualty. I found out everything only after my death in my past life. This time, I'll strip away their facades layer by layer. No one gets to walk away unscathed. My parents handed me a card with 20 million on it, telling me to do whatever I like, along with some other random assets. As for settling in, Susan had arranged the largest and fanciest room in the house for me. I shook my head and refused. Mom, Dad, that's Monica's room. I won't take it from her. I can stay anywhere, as long as I can be with you every day. In my past life, after I returned, Susan made it seem like my parents were trying to compensate me and handed over everything that belonged to Monica. I naively believed it was my parents' love. Later, after being passively plundered time and again, I realized my parents were growing guiltier towards Monica and more resentful of me. Now, I'm not that foolish. My parents praised me for being understanding, while Susan awkwardly showed me other rooms. I picked one, not too big or small, and finally settled in. Mom then had Susan bring over some new dresses, and while holding me gently, said, I didn't know your size, but every year when buying for Monica, I ordered a dress for you too, matching her measurements. See which ones you like. I sorted through them, pulling out a dress identical to the one I stained on Monica before. I approached Monica, tilting my head with a friendly smile. Monica, I'm sorry for messing up your dress. Here's a replacement. Monica paused, instinctively taking the dress. Monica, don't be mad, okay? Let's both change into new dresses and go out to play. Yes. Her hand trembled, and her smile seemed forced. Sister, I'm not mad. This dress was meant for you. I have plenty. You don't need to compensate me. I turned to my mom, tears in my eyes. Mom, is Monica mad at me? Is it that she doesn't want to play with me anymore? If that's the case, maybe I should just leave. I don't want to upset Monica. My mom quickly reassured me, and fearing how she might come across to our parents, Monica said, I'm not mad. My mom sighed. Monica, spend some time with your sister. Monica reluctantly agreed, frowning as she went to change clothes. Susan had a colorful expression, her eyes filled with worry and anger. I cheerfully played games with Monica in the garden until she broke out in hives and passed out from breathing difficulties. Susan, who's been on guard, rushed her to the hospital. I stayed behind, smiling. Dealing with these two could be as simple as a DNA test. As soon as the results were out, the mother-daughter duo would be out. But I wanted everyone to pay a harsher price. The tests showed exposure to a large amount of catalpa pollen, causing an allergic reaction due to low immunity. My parents anxiously watched the just awakened Monica, comforting her before investigating the pollen source. No catalpa trees were planted in the yard, so where did the pollen come from? I stayed silent, but I knew. Susan had sprinkled pollen on the clothes she got for me. It was meant to trigger my allergies due to my low immunity. In my previous life, clueless, my parents had thought the rashes were remnants from Mary's house. It continued for years, and by the time I stopped having reactions, I had scars, even on my face. My engagement to someone who should have been mine was quickly snatched away by Monica. The hardships I faced would be theirs to endure as well. Right then, Susan lowered her head, full of guilt. As my parents dug deeper, Monica weakly spoke up. Mom, Dad, it was me. I ran out to play and lingered by the catalpa trees because they were beautiful. My parents dropped their suspicions and comforted her. I'm so uncomfortable, Mom. Monica snuggled into my mom's embrace, who in turn caressed her forehead sweetly. She opened her eyes just enough to glance at me. Sorry, sis. I just want to be with Mom for a bit. Once I'm better, I promise to give her back to you. Playing innocent, ha. I quickly stood, cautiously eyeing my parents. Monica and you have a special bond, Mom. It's only right you stay with her while she's sick. I can sleep alone tonight. You should stay with her at the hospital. I easily diffused the situation. Naive. She thought I was still that girl, longing for maternal love and care. If she wanted to hoard it all, she'd better. Not like it would last long. Mom patted my head. Lily, you're so considerate. Monica's face turned sour. She may have realized I wasn't as easy to deal with. Monica stayed in the hospital for more than 10 days, citing headaches or itching to stay longer. Perhaps even she felt she couldn't keep up the pretense and was finally brought home by Mom. During dinner, she kept refilling my parents and my plates, trying a bit too hard. As I lifted a bowl of hot soup, she suddenly got up and knocked it over. The hot soup splashed all over her, and she started crying out in pain. It hurts. Lily, why did you spill soup on me? My parents quickly got up, their confused gazes narrowing on me. Still, Monica had blocked most of their view. They hadn't seen a thing. Monica called out a few times, and Susan couldn't help but step in to aid her. That's when Mom and Dad rushed over, cleaning up and applying ice. Finally, Monica sat across from me, rubbing on burn cream. Dad, Mom, please don't blame my sister, okay? She definitely didn't mean it. Before they could say anything, I lifted my red and swollen right hand. The skin was broken, and there was a massive blister. Monica, I really didn't mean it. You stood up too quickly and bumped into me. I tried to move the bowl away, but I couldn't protect you. Mom, Dad, it's my fault for not even being able to protect my little sister. Actually, it wasn't from what happened just now. Monica's sudden false accusation caught me off guard too. I burned myself when they were busy taking care of Monica's wound. I needed to make my injury worse to be more convincing. Coupled with my flawless acting, it got Mom and Dad rushing over, attending to my burn more carefully, while stealing a glance at Monica. Then, my injury was deemed severe enough that I went to the hospital. Monica sat there alone, pale as a ghost. That afternoon, when we got back home, Mom and Dad were in their bedroom, and Monica sat quietly next to me, like there was this dark cloud hanging over her. I tilted my head to look at her and suddenly let out a mocking laugh. What kind of lame trick was that? Monica, you've been hogging that spot for too long. Have you forgotten your place? She turned to me, surprised, and her face suddenly darkened. I knew you're up to no good. Just wait. Even if you're Mom and Dad's real daughter, you won't beat me. With the facade completely torn down, I had nothing to hold back. I reached out, grabbing her hair, and coldly said, "Get out of here." Monica cried out in pain, and Mom and Dad came running at the sound. She sobbed, looking pitiful. Mom, Dad, Lily hit me and pulled my hair. Susan, who had been watching, quickly chimed in, worried they'd lose the upper hand if she didn't speak up. Sir, ma'am, it really was Lily who attacked. Mom and Dad were a bit upset looking at me. I got up and started to walk away. They called me back, and I let tears fall. Yes, I did hit her, but it's because she said I'll always be Mary's child. She said you two abandoned me on purpose because you didn't like me, that I don't deserve your love. She said you only brought me back out of guilt. I paused for effect, then continued. If it's true that you don't like me, I can leave. I don't want to make things hard for you. These words stabbed right at their hearts. Mom couldn't hold it in anymore. She hugged me, crying. No, Mom and Dad never thought that. We love you so much. We haven't slept well a single night trying to find you all these years. Dad was also visibly moved. Kiddo, this is your home. Monica, overwhelmed by the situation, screamed out, Mom, Dad, she's lying. I never said that. I bit my lip. Monica doesn't like me. I might as well leave. To calm me down, Dad turned to look at her seriously. Monica, I remember you being very sensible. How could you say things that hurt your sister? Monica tried to explain. Susan started chiming in again. This made Dad lose his patience. Enough. No more words. Monica, Lily had it tough before. You should care for her. Mom and Dad love you both equally. Don't overthink it. Monica stamped her foot in anger, while Susan was flustered, beads of sweat on her forehead. Come on, we're just getting started. You used these tricks countless times before. In the following days, my parents obviously cooled off towards Monica. She tried hard to make up for it, bringing tea and offering massages. After raising her for so many years, my parents eventually softened again. This little setback made Susan and her daughter quiet down for a bit. Just in time for the school year to start, Dad arranged for me to go to Monica's school to be classmates with her. Maybe they figured out I hadn't been to school before. On the first day, Monica quickly told everyone, Lily's a country bumpkin, a total illiterate who doesn't know a single character. Dad's assets in this city far outpaced the runner-ups. My parents gave Monica a lot of allowance, enough to form a little clique at the fancy school. As her minions grew, more people harassed and bullied me. Some would purposefully challenge me to recite the multiplication table, mocking me as stupid. Others drew turtles in my books, assuming I couldn't read a word. In the end, I dumped all the trash people stuffed in my desk onto Monica's desk and glared at her. If you've got guts, come at me yourself. What's with sending lackeys? She snorted, crossing her arms. You're just a total illiterate. I chuckled. Since you say I'm illiterate, how about a bet? I'll beat you in the next exam. If I do, you'll tell our parents to only give you $300 a month. If I fail, do whatever you want. She scoffed. You, really? For the first time, Monica's minions didn't follow her lead. Now they knew I was also a daughter of the city's wealthiest family. Are you brave enough to bet? Under the crowd's watchful gaze, Monica arrogantly agreed. All right. She wrote up the agreement, and I made sure there were 2 copies. We each signed. I took mine to show our parents. Monica and I are going to compete academically. It's a chance for us both to improve, with mom and dad as our witnesses. Why not? Right. They were on board. Needless to say, I outperformed Monica in the midterm exams. She couldn't beat me, not in a dozen lifetimes. Since the previous life, her grades have always sat behind mine. Back then, I treasured the second chance at life, obey my parents, and study hard. I slept just 5 hours a night, caught up on half a year's curriculum, and finally reached middle school level. I put in continuous effort thereafter, consistently ranking first. Monica, however, expected everything handed to her, relying on exam cheats. She was just a clown in that field and in life. When the results were announced, everyone stared at me in disbelief, then looked at Monica with complex expressions. She seemed flustered, glaring at me ruthlessly. When I showed mom and dad my report card, they praised me as a genius. Under my watchful gaze, they took Monica's card away. 3rd place isn't bad. Keep working. Once you move up a rank, your card will be returned. Monica could only nod, red-eyed. I smiled, knowing the 2nd place student was Monica's partner in crime for cheating. Their family was strict, and they could barely maintain their position with me entering the picture. She wanted to be 2nd in class, but it was just too hard. After that, Monica became the most unfortunate student in school. While her classmates were enjoying fancy Western food, she'd hide in the classroom eating plain steamed buns. When her classmates planned fun weekend outings or discussed buying new bags, shoes, and jewelry, she would clutch her empty wallet, gritting her teeth with frustration. Even at parties she used to love, she couldn't afford to bring a decent gift. Eventually, Monica had fewer and fewer followers, until she had none left. The ones who used to laugh with her at me were now secretly giving her disdainful looks. I figured it out. Someone whispered, "She's just an adopted daughter, and Lily's the real heiress. You better not cozy up to the wrong person." Ever since the real heiress returned, even he stopped giving her spending money. She's bound to get kicked out sooner or later. She acted so high and mighty for a fake. She's not even as good as me. A few of the classmates gossiping got caught by Monica. She got so mad her face turned red. "You weren't like this when you were sucking up to me before," she yelled. People were usually put off by her temper, and Ashley, who had been bullied by her before, mockingly said, "You think they were sucking up to you? They just wanted your dad's money. What are you, a fake heiress?" I couldn't help but laugh, and Monica turned fiery red. Infuriated by my provocation, she slapped Ashley across the face. "How dare you even talk to me?" Ashley's family ranked 2nd in New York, not as rich as mine, but she was still used to being pampered. Getting slapped wasn't something she'd accept without a fight, so she retaliated. They pulled hair and pinched arms until someone called a teacher. Finally, my parents were called to school. On one hand, it was clear Monica started the fight. On the other, my dad didn't want to be labeled as unreasonable or a bully. So, things ended with my parents apologizing. At home, Monica stood in the middle of the living room while my dad, angrily with furrowed brows, said, "I haven't apologized to anyone in years, and now you made me grovel like this." My mom patted his chest, trying to calm him down. "Kids fighting is normal." Monica cried, promising she wouldn't do it again. It was a small issue, but to teach her a lesson, I convinced my dad to cut off her credit card for 2 years. Monica cried even harder. Monica was broke now. The person most worried, though, was Eric, Susan's biological son and Monica's real brother. Susan wasn't good at much, but she adored her kids. Her biological daughter was sent to life as an heiress, so she couldn't treat her son any less. Not able to swap identities, her biological son was drowning in her pampering. Monica always had money. Ever since finding out Susan was her birth mother, she shared half of her allowance with her. For Eric, it meant wearing luxurious clothes, living in a fancy city apartment, and being waited on hand and foot. Susan thought Monica would support them forever. Eric really believed his mom was making big bucks working as a housekeeper for a rich family, so they spent freely and never saved a dime. Monica considered herself royalty, spent her allowance fast, and saved nothing. Now, with her money stream cut off, Susan was in full panic mode, constantly discussing things in Monica's room. Remembering my past life, I took a small camera I bought and discreetly set it up before leaving the room. In a dim alley, I found Eric smoking in front of a casino. They treated me all nice when I had money, but now that I'm broke, they won't even let me in. All they care about is money. Gambling was Eric's vice. In my last life, after I died, Monica took over my dad's company. Knowing Monica was his sister, Eric gambled and racked up debts everywhere. Monica was stone-hearted, ignoring Susan's pleas, and cut ties with Eric, watching as casino thugs chopped off his fingers. I can still remember his screams, tears flowing, passing out from pain. If only he knew the foster girl from the richest family was his real sister, he wouldn't be so upset right now. Poor thing. Should we help him? When I got home, my parents were sitting on the couch, looking grave. Monica had her head down, sneaking glances at me. "What's wrong?" I asked, knowing full well. They motioned for me to sit. "I'm missing a necklace. Do you two know anything about it?" Monica shook her head. "No idea." I shook my head too. Their expressions darkened, The housekeeper took the day off. Security cameras only saw you two on the second floor. You're young. We understand you might stray sometimes, but if you admit it, we won't blame you. We stayed silent, so they started searching our rooms. The necklace showed up under my pillow. My dad was furious, nearly slapping me. Don't we give you enough money? If you need more, just ask. Why steal? My mom crossed her arms, more upset than I'd ever seen. Lily, this is a really bad habit. I cried. I didn't steal it. My dad yelled. Then how did it end up in your room? Did it walk there by itself? Monica, barely hiding her excitement, couldn't help but chime in. Dad, Mom, I remember there's a lot of confidential stuff at home. It'd be fine if sis just stole a necklace, but what if she steals something important and sells it? Trying to get me kicked out, Monica didn't even bother pretending to defend me, steering my parents towards the worst-case scenario. As expected, their faces grew even darker. Crying, I returned with my camera. We're going on a school trip, so I bought this camera and had it running all day for practice. I wasn't home all day, so we can see what happened. Monica's face turned pale, and she cried out. No. My parents stared at her, bewildered, and took the camera from me. After a while, my dad stood, towering, and slapped Monica across the face. Why did you try to set your sister up? Haven't we been good to you? Monica, shocked, collapsed onto the couch, bleeding from her mouth, and broke into tears. Even though my mom was upset, she couldn't bear to see her child hit. Rushing to Monica's side, she weakly said, let it go. Even if she was wrong, you shouldn't hit her like that. Ah, what a caring mother. I suddenly wanted to laugh. In my past life, when my dad was about to send me to the operating table, where was her protection for me? After my dad flipped out, Monica got so scared she fainted. She had to be taken to the hospital and even got some oxygen to recover. My dad felt guilty afterward for being so harsh and stayed with Mom to take care of Monica in the hospital. Meanwhile, with my memory, I opened their room safe, found the company's ledgers, and took pictures of them. The day I went to see Monica, her hospital room was really lively. Eric was there, confidently holding out his hand to my parents. Monica is your real daughter, my real sister. What's the problem with me wanting some money from my sister? She's not your adopted daughter, right? If she doesn't have money, you should give it to her. No wonder he's Susan's son. Birds of a feather really flock together. He's had it too easy and thinks everything's just handed to him. My parents were shocked by Eric's boldness. After a long pause, my dad struggled to ask, who's your mom? Eric smugly said, it's Susan, you know, the one working as a nanny in your house. Eric was definitely smug. When I told him about Monica's identity, I specifically mentioned how deep the emotional bond was with my parents, and they knew she wasn't their real daughter but treated her as one. His gambling debts were nothing. For Monica, my parents could even give shares to him. As for Susan, she'd been working hard at our house for years, almost like family, earning my parents' trust. Alright, I don't have time for this talk. Just give me $700,000. I'll leave for now and come back next month for more. While Eric daydreamed about his bright future, my parents called Susan to come over. Meanwhile, Monica woke up and reacted to Eric like she'd seen a ghost. I don't know Eric. I really don't. Dad, Mom, can you get rid of him? I don't want to see him. He's just trying to scam us for money. Eric, impatient, said, I'm your brother. How can you call me a fraud? When Susan comes, aren't you afraid she'll slap you? Monica, didn't you have a lot of money before? Haven't you been giving us money for years? Monica pretended to go crazy to avoid the situation, but my dad was furious and insisted Susan come over. When Susan arrived, she was terrified to see her son there. Mom, said Eric, proudly walking up. Tell them, Monica is your daughter, my real sister. Susan quickly made excuses. Sorry, sir, ma'am, this is my son. He's got some mental issues, always babbling nonsense. Sorry for bothering you. I'll take him away. Eric shook off Susan. What nonsense? I'm not crazy. Why won't you admit it? I've been asking you for days. Then Eric pulled out a photo. It was of a young Susan holding a baby. The baby's features were clear, and there's a black tear-shaped mole on the right cheek. After a close look, disbelief filled my parents' eyes. They'd been raising Monica for years and knew every stage of her growth. Susan tried to argue. This was when I first came to your house. I thought the baby was cute and took her out for a photo. Eric pointed to the words below, taken on March 2nd, 2001, in Cydia Hospital. Turns out this photo was taken before Susan swapped the babies, maybe to remember since she thought she'd never see her daughter again. I didn't expect Eric to dig this up. My parents definitely didn't see it coming. My dad, who was battle-hardened in business, quickly saw through Susan's schemes. You switched daughters, sold mine, let your daughter steal my child's life, and now you have the nerve to work as a nanny here. You have some guts. Dad was so angry you could almost feel the chill from 10 miles away. Susan shook with fear and plopped to the floor. My dad called the police, and they took Susan and Eric into custody. In the hospital room, the four of us sat in a tense atmosphere. Monica fainted the moment the photo came out, and my parents just looked at her with complex expressions, not saying a word. Monica pretended to be fainted for a day and a night. Finally, the doctor said it was impossible, and my dad tapped her lightly. Wake up. We've raised you for years. We're not gonna do anything to you. Hearing that, Monica woke up with tears in her eyes. Mom, Dad, I'm afraid you'll abandon me. When I found out Susan was my birth mother, I was already 6. I didn't feel anything for her, just saw you two as my parents. She threatened me, said if I didn't give her money, she'd reveal my identity. That's why I did it. But none of those words matter now. After careful thought, my parents reluctantly came to terms. Fine, as long as you change your ways and cut ties with them, we'll still take care of you. Monica swore she would, bowing and apologizing profusely. I watched quietly. My heart felt cold. I remembered in my past life when Monica was in the late stages of kidney disease and needed a donor. Dad forced me to donate. I begged and pleaded the same way she did, but Dad beat me up, saying I had no heart and refused to save her. He said he shouldn't have ever brought me back. But now, Monica has such a dirty background, and they still tolerated her. Some decisions can't be avoided. Later, Susan ended up in prison, but Eric got released. I hired someone to find my dad's rival and leaked all the ledger photos to him. They found numerous flaws and started to sue the company. Dad became overwhelmed, and Mom searched everywhere for help. I gave Eric a bunch of money, and after he blew it all and got neck deep in gambling debts, he came back for more. Monica fiercely dragged him away. She didn't return home until late that night, and I listened as her footsteps went to her room. The next day, I called my dad. The video of Monica stealing money from the room was crystal clear. Already frustrated with the leak, Dad was eager to catch the thief and violently grabbed Monica's hair, slamming her head into the wall. You're not my blood, yet we treated you like you were, and you still stole from us. Stealing necklaces, money, and now the company's ledger, too. I'll beat the crap out of you, you ungrateful thief. Susan's trashy jeans eventually surfaced. Get out, I never want to see you again. Monica shook with terror, collapsed in a pool of blood. Dad, please don't abandon me. I'm wrong, and I won't do it again. Dad, please don't kick me out. I don't want to go. Monica seemed out of her mind, curling up on the ground, mindlessly repeating herself. Then Dad simply picked her up and ordered the bodyguards to throw her out. Monica got up, crying, banging on the door, calling out for Dad. But Dad had already driven off. The court summons was waiting. Late at night, it started pouring rain. I stood there with my umbrella, staring at that soaked bloody person outside. Monica, congrats, you finally got your life back, I said. Hearing my voice, she jumped up like she wanted to lunge at me, but I kicked her away. From now on, you're parentless, penniless, and stuck with a gambling addict brother. Just thinking about it is thrilling. You've enjoyed the good life at my expense for long enough. Spend the rest of your days making up for it, I told her. Monica cursed at me viciously, threatening me with words. She was like a wounded little beast, no real threat, but kind of annoying. Oh, and don't expect your parents to come to your rescue. They're worse off than you. As for your real mom, she put you here just for Eric. I added, by the way, Eric owes over 100 grand. Start working now, with a monthly salary of $3,000. If you don't eat or drink, you'll pay it off eventually. Monica screamed in response to my jabs, jumping away like a wild person. In the dark, I could hear her switching between crying and laughing. When my mom got home and found out what happened, she had a high blood pressure attack. After taking some meds, she insisted on going out to find Monica. She's still a kid. She can change after making mistakes. Your dad shouldn't be so cruel. Do you know where she went? She asked me. I nodded, pointing toward the door. She hurried out the door. Watching her leave, I pulled the curtains closed, indifferent. A few loud noises and screams later, I saw her being hit by a car while crossing the street in a rush without looking at the lights. She was thrown several meters away, lying in a pool of blood, looking my way. I waved at her, smiling and mouthing, rest in peace. My mom didn't make it through. Her rush across the street, not watching the lights, only got the driver a year's sentence. The bad news hadn't reached my dad, who was isolated and under investigation. He probably wouldn't get the chance to know. His company was involved in tax evasion and fraud. The massive compensation bankrupted the company, and he got a 5-year sentence. His misdeeds were all over the news. He became the public's punching bag. When I visited him in prison, he asked numbly, "Is your mom really dead?" I nodded, calmly saying, "Yeah, it was tragic. She got hit going to find Monica. If she hadn't gone, she'd still be alive. It was a mistake." Then added darkly, "I'll make you suffer even more when you get out." He looked up in shock, fear in his eyes as I waved and left. From the start, I moved the assets they gave me. It was only a few million, but enough to get me through school. Over the years, I studied hard and got into a good college. I heard Susan got out of prison. Her son ran off with debt. The ruthless debt collectors chopped off her right hand. She lived by begging, but no one was willing to help because of her past horrors. Even any financial aid she might have gotten was snatched by the debt collectors. After months of hardship, she was beaten and crippled again for stealing and eventually died on a cold night under a bridge. Eric didn't disappoint either. After changing cities, his gambling continued. This time the debt collectors found him, leaving him half dead. Now, he's a disabled person, dying alone on a hospital bed. Leaving New York, I started to forget those things. But on a work trip back to New York, I ran into a ragged woman in a back alley, laughing wildly and eating out of a dog bowl. A vicious dog was gnawing her, but she seemed unfazed. Seeing the tear mole on her face, I approached. Monica. She looked up, blinking at me, and barked like a dog. I smiled. Ever regret it? Her eyes briefly showed struggle, then dulled again. She seemed to have lost her speech. I turned and walked away. Her life was over. Mine had just begun.